Who thought we'd be here?
Hey, how are you? We're just catching up today.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah, I know. It's been like
Well, it feels like a while compared to how quick we were doing them in the beginning.
Well, you were gone, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
You
But
were
I
gone.
definitely...
You were gone. We both got a lot of shit going on right now.
Absolutely, yeah. You're getting ready to move. I'm doing God knows what. Trying to figure out what's next.
Moving.
Yeah, maybe.
Moving again.
Yeah. But this was one of the things that I really did miss
While you were gone?
While I was gone. Yeah, for sure. Like, even though we'd only been doing it for, like, I don't know, a month or two, it really, like, I was like, I was even fiending to do, like, a remote one.
Yeah.
But, like, the timing was just, like,
I knew,
I felt like it would have been forced.
I knew, 4 days into you being gone, I was like, there's no way we're getting this remote one done.
Yeah.
You were just running around way too much, and it would have been way too hectic. Like, you would have been trying to rush through the podcast, like...
Yeah, and really the only way we would have been able to do it is, like, on those days where I was traveling alone. And even then, I didn't feel like I was in the best place,
Yeah.
you know?
And it would have been weird stopping and you just on the side of the road with the trailer podcast.
No, I mean in like the hotel room.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But like just when like once like the race was happening and they were all there, like it would have been virtually like I could have made it work,
Yeah.
but it would have, in my opinion, it would have felt forced.
You want to describe what you were doing so people know, because you were gone for 2 weeks and I said you were doing real life Gran Turismo shit.
Yeah. So there's a rally car race in Newfoundland, which is an island off the eastern coast of Canada, that does a race called the Targa. They have multiple races across the world. Like there's one in like Tasmania, Australia, that they do also. And it was my second time going. The first time I went about 5 years ago. And basically my role in the trip, my main role in the trip was driving a truck with a trailer with a race car in it, all the way from here in New York to an island, which involves getting on a ferry. It was about 40 hours of driving there. Or no. Let me rephrase that, because that includes like the ferry time. It was like 30 hours driving, plus like another 10 or so of getting on this ferry, getting on, off.
I love how you took back the 10 hours of driving as if 30 hours of driving is way less.
No, I just don't want to mislead anybody.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, like I was lucky enough that my old pal Jim Turner let me not only be a part of the service crew, but I got to be navigator or ride passenger in the car for the last 2 days of the race. His cousin rode the other days, and also got to drive. I drove with him in the car as well. But overall, like an incredible experience. The traveling alone for, virtually over a week on the front and back end of it was extremely stressful. And I'll get into some of the stories later. But just the entire, like, they do say, there is something to be said for, like, when you're just in a new place. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to give yourself some space to think differently about, like I found myself mostly thinking differently about how you deal with stress and anxiety and situations like that. And I really did take a lot of effort, not only to just be in the present moment while I was there, but to be grateful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not somebody who was like, I'm not in love with cars, or like and it wasn't super organized. Fuck out of here.
Mad bugs.
But just to go on the trip was certainly like an amazing opportunity, and not only that, but like it was, I wasn't there for free. I got paid to be there as well. So, there are plenty of people who would die to have that opportunity to go on a trip like that. And like I said, to have virtually no experience with race cars or navigation or anything like that, and just to be like, we'll figure it out as we go. Like it was an experience. That was really cool. And it really taught me to, like, I really found myself being a little bit more conscious of being present,
Mm-hmm.
like when I'm there. And it's just like if I'm in the car and I'm dying for this trip to be over and to be back home in my bed, I can't enjoy this moment right now where like I'm riding through a town, like literally going up and down people's like driveways and stuff like that at 60 miles an hour, drifting through these towns. Like, how can I enjoy that
Yeah.
if I'm worried about like, not even, but like if I'm worried about like I need to get home and do a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm doing today. Like, why get caught up in the, oh, I wish that this was over. I wish, you know what I mean? Like, because it's always the grass is greener. You know what I mean? It's always like, oh, like I'd be more comfortable if I was at home, or I'd be more comfortable if I was just in the hotel, or if I was back in the U.S. or whatever it was. But I really, really found myself. It wasn't always easy, but just grounding into the present moment and being thankful for the opportunity to, like I said, go on this trip and clear my mind that most people would have to pay thousands of dollars for.
Yeah. So when you were in those situations where you were like anxious, or like you were like kind of wishing it was over, but like you were trying to enjoy it, do you think that happened because you were trying to control the situation and not just detaching and like letting it happen? Do you think there was something that you were that you were gripping onto, the way that you expected the experience to be, that wasn't the way you thought it was going to be at that moment, and that's why you felt that anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always comes from like a lack of control. Like we're always trying to control stuff that we don't have a grasp on. Like, you know, whether it's other people or places or situations, whatever it might be. But yeah, I certainly felt well, I mean, when I was in the race car, I didn't feel a need to control anything, because I was like, if I was in control right now, I'd be crashing this fucking thing. But in all the other aspects, like especially like driving the trailer, that was like when I was in the moments of this isn't a trip, this is a job. That was very hard.
Yeah.
So because it's like then you want to have the control. Then it's just like, okay, I want to have the control over like I got, you know, it's like when you work in a restaurant where it's just like no matter how much you made that night, you're like that still wasn't worth it what I went through. It kind of had that feeling to it, which is like whatever. Like when I'm all alone on the strip, I'm trying to look behind me and steer this thing and make sure I don't knock over the gas pump. Like I wish in that moment I had more control, but it wasn't like I wanted the situation to go differently. It was like at that moment I wish that I had more. I wish that I had more like capability to look within myself and say like, you're capable of doing this.
Yeah.
Like I often found myself in a scenario where something went wrong, whether it was small or little, thinking like, I'm not prepared for this. But meanwhile, not only had I done this trip before, but like every problem that came up that at least I had to handle by myself ended up working out fine.
Yeah.
But it's like I wish that I had more control over when I'm in those moments, to not like freak out and to remind myself like, you know, you're smart, you're capable, you'll get through this situation. It might take an hour to fix it, or it might take 3 days, but it's gonna get fixed. It's gonna happen. So I just wish I had, and it's something that I actually do have control over, which is like, how do you react in those scenarios? Do you like? We all have power over when a moment like that comes. We don't have power over how it happens, how it goes, how it ends, what comes of it, but we do have control over how we react to it. And like dealing with that kind of stress where it's just you is, as much as it's frustrating, it's equally as satisfying when you get out of those situations and you say like, not to like pump yourself up, but you say like, I solved that. That's
an important thing to remember, is that the universe is like gonna happen. Like there's like the grass doesn't try to grow, it just grows, you know? Like those situations when those happen, like you just have to know that like this is the way it's supposed to be right now, and like it's happening for a reason, the way that it was intended to happen. And it's just reminding yourself that like you said, like you've done that trip before. You have to put yourself in that situation where like I I am confident I can do this. Like, it's happening the way it's supposed to happen. And, like, this is a little hiccup, but you just got to take that deep breath and remember, like, I know what I'm doing here. I've been here before. Like, this isn't my first rodeo, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Having that, one of the things I also realized about myself is that, like, I've really gained the strength of, like, taking a pause. And, like I said, when moments come up where you feel like you're not going to get out of it, you know? Like, I had issues with the trailer. I didn't have any issues with the truck I was driving, thankfully. That was nice. But, like, I look at scenarios that happened along the way of that trip. And, like, first of all, like, I can't say enough nice things about the people of Canada. And I'm sure that in New York, yeah, a couple kilometers, eh? That, like, every step of the way we had multiple people who were both involved in the race and were not, who were just kind of called upon, who really, like, helped us out. And it's honestly, like, and I think Jim and Mark would say the same thing, like, it's a miracle that we finished that race. Every day there were issues with the car. Like, the car certainly wasn't prepared to be going in a race, like, just because it all came together very quickly.
Do you know when the last time it was, like, tested properly?
No, it was, well, I don't know enough about cars to really comment on it. But, like, we had an issue almost every single day.
Yeah.
And, like, you're beating up a thing, and the car is almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, when we did it with the Jaguar 5 years ago, we beat that thing up and there was zero problems.
Yeah.
But I think the whole purpose of the trip, for me at least, was to acknowledge that things are always going to go wrong to some degree. And me and you talked about expectations before I left. The only thing that you can really expect is that things are going to go wrong and that you're going to deal with them. You know what I mean? And when I got back from the trip and I had lunch with my dad, the first thing he said to me was like, "I'm really glad you went on that trip." And I was like, I mean, all I just told you about for the last, like, hour and a half was, like, all the issues that happened, the hiccups that happened along the way. And he said, "Yeah, but doesn't, like, life now feel a little easier?
Yep.
Like, that like, it taught you how to solve stuff on the fly? Like, there's no way you could have prepared for the roof on your trailer."
Yeah. You called me and told me that story. Why don't you could tell it again. I don't mind.
I mean,
you had to trust there, man.
It is a good story. So after getting off the ferry in Nova Scotia, I've got about 15 hours left of driving. I get off. It's early. It's a beautiful day for driving. I'm gonna knock out. I'm thinking I'm gonna knock out, you know, probably 10 or 11 hours today. Get halfway into Maine, and then I'll have a nice, easy drive home tomorrow. I'll get back. It'll still be daylight when I get back. I'm like 2 hours in, and a guy with, or a couple guys with a bunch of, like, moose antlers on their truck that they had, like, just caught. They're, like, pointing at their roof. They cut in front of me, and they're pointing at their roof. And, like, for some reason, my first thought was, like, "Oh, congratulations, you caught a bunch of moose." Like, you know, they were trying to help me. And they, like, stayed in front of me and, like, put their hazards on for a couple of minutes. But then, like, another car went by and pointed at the roof. And I'm like, I really don't want to deal with this. I just want to keep driving. Like, I got such good momentum going now. And well, I'm looking, because you can't really see behind you, or it's tough. Like, and I'm looking in my I'm like, I don't see anything. Like, and then, like, a third person went by, and I was like, I gotta pull over at the next, like, space and check out what's going on. So I pull over, and I'm looking, and I get up on, because, like, at first I didn't really realize that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I got up on, like, the bed of the truck and looked over, and the front half of the trailer roof, which is pure metal, like sheet metal, is peeled all the way back and flapping in the wind with half the trailer open. Like, just the beams are there. Like, you can see right in that there's a race car right there. And I'm like, fuck, this is not good. And also to mention that, like, at this point, my phone had not been working in Canada for like a week. So I couldn't call or text people. Like, I had internet, but I couldn't really get in touch with anybody. So I'm like, I can't call Jim. Not only that, but I can't call a fucking place to see if they're open or not.
Yeah.
It's Sunday also, by the way. Which, if you get sick or your car breaks down, both days you're usually fucked. Like,
Yeah.
Just because, like, most places you're not getting, and I'm in a strange place. I think the name of the town was Truro, Truro, in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
That's the exit I got off at. So I'm like, I got to get gas anyway. It's not going to help me if I run out of gas too. Like, so I pull into a gas station and I stop at the pump and I'm like, all right, if somebody pulls up to this pump next to me that's right here, I'll ask them. If I was like, if nobody pulls up, then it's not meant to be. I'll keep going and I'll try to get to this Canadian Tire that's like an hour from here.
Mm-hmm.
This young kid pulls up and he's got a husky in the back. So I'm like, all right, usually people with dogs are nice. I'm already in the clear. But I've already experienced a lot of help from people in Canada already who had helped us with the car and stuff
Everybody
like that.
been friendly.
Exactly, yeah, for the most part. And I asked this kid, I'm like, hey man, like, are you from around here? He's like, yeah, I actually am. And I'm like, do you know anybody who does like body work? He's like, what's wrong? And I point at the trailer that now he sees like, oh shit, like. I'm like, I need somebody to like help me fix this. I can't fix it. I was like, I barely know how to back this thing up, let alone. And he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, it's Sunday. He's like, there is a Canadian Tire up the road here, so I'm like, all right, weird. Like, so I call them. Immediately, they're like, yeah, our service department's closed today. It's Sunday. Because it's like a rinky-dink town. Like, this rest stop that I'm at is clearly like the center of the town.
Yeah.
There's a McDonald's and. Whatever. It was Ultramar, which is like mobile.
Okay.
In the U.S., like huge gas station. And I call this place and I call the place that's far away, and they're both closed on Sundays. I'm like, I'm gonna be stuck in this fucking town for who knows. I'm definitely not getting it fixed today. And even if like tomorrow, like, and I'm thinking that like, depending on who fixes this for me, if I take it to like, you know, your Firestone, Canadian Tire, these places that are, you know, like Valvoline, whatever. Yeah. If they'll even fix it, they're gonna be like, no, we got to replace the whole. We got to, you know,
parts off,
they got to do. Well, they got to do it the right way, because if you fuck somebody up, then it's on them. But he's like, you know what? Like, I think he said his mother-in-law. This kid, his name was Brett. Really nice guy. Stayed with me until the guy got there.
Oh, really?
Did he?
Either way,
he stayed until he said the guy was coming. He was like, my mother-in-law got some body work done by this guy in town. Like, he lives right up the road. Maybe I'll see if she's got his number. So he calls her, and he's like, you can use my phone. Call him, see if he'll come here. And there's this guy, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin is the guy. I call him from this guy's phone, and I'm like, hey man, this is John. Like, you don't know me. I'm from New York. Somebody here gave me your number, said that you do body work. Like, I've got a trailer that's messed up right now, and I need somebody to rig it up so I can get back to New York. Mm-hmm. He asked me a bunch of questions about it. I was like, yeah, no, the roof is still there. Like, it didn't blow all the way off. Like, that would have been, that could have really killed somebody there. That's why immediately I was like, I got to do something about this immediately. And I'm like, where? He's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at the gas station, McDonald's rest stop. Like, you'll see me. Trust me. You'll see me. Sure enough, like 15 minutes later, guy shows up. He's like, I thought this was a scam because it was somebody saying they were from New York and it came from a Nova Scotia number. Yeah. And I was like, I can't call anybody. Like, my phone's not working. He's like, all right, well, I live right up the road here. He's like, just park across the street. Once you get up there, I'll back it in. Mm-hmm. Sure enough. Like, I pull up to this guy's house. He's got, like, Porsches and grass up to here. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got, like, a whole barn. He's got boats. He's got, like, it looked like he was, you know.
A mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it was like, and turns out that he built race cars, too. Pulls it up and back into the driveway. And this dude did the craziest Jimmy rig I've ever seen. By the end, he was popping these screws in there with an air gun into like the beams that came across. He sealed the whole thing with windshield adhesive.
Oh,
because
shit.
the issue is that like what probably happened is like a little bit of air
Was
got
traveling.
underneath the top of it, and then it just went from there. Like he said, like that, no air is getting underneath this thing. Like he's like, I drive this thing to Vancouver. That's what he said. And it took him like 3 or 4 hours. All I had was American cash on me, so that's what I gave him. Like they love American up there.
Do they?
The dollar is strong. The American dollar is strong across the border. And like this probably happened at like 11:30 noon, with where I realized that it's broke, and by 4:30, 5 o'clock,
Back on the road?
I was back on the road.
Nice.
I still got over the border and into Maine that night. And I drove through the night, but like, and the guy kept saying to me, or I shouldn't say the guy, Kevin, nice gentleman, kept saying to me like, God, you must be pissed, like your boss is going to be pissed. And I'm like, pissed? I'm like, I'm ecstatic right now. I was like, I'm like drilling holes for him, and he's popping these things in there. And I was like, brother, like, do you know how bad this could have been? Like, the kid said that the other option, even if it wasn't Sunday, to get the thing fixed, was that there was a welding company, like right next to the gas station, that they would have welded the top of it back together. But somehow, he was like, I'm overkilling this thing. I'm taking care of business. Like, this thing is not coming up. And no issues.
Yep.
Made it all the way back. I texted him when I got back, and I said, hey, man, thanks again. Like, I made it back safe. No problems. My boss is very, very satisfied with the job you did.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and by this time, like I said, I've already been stressed out on and off the whole trip for various reasons. But the thing that kept sticking with me then, when I'm like, I'm waiting for this guy to fix it, was, how can I be grateful that this came together so quickly and be mad that it happened at the same time? It's impossible. It's impossible for you to be grateful and like anxious or upset at the same time, to a certain degree. Just because, like, I mean, and in a scenario like that, it's easy to find what's to be grateful for because it got solved. How I would have handled being grateful for the scenario if I got stuck in that town for 3 days waiting for them to order a new roof or whatever it would have been that would have happened to fix it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But as things came up more and more, I just tried to be grateful.
Yeah. It's about staying in that feeling. You got to get into that feeling. If you're in that feeling, it's hard to shake you, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what'd you learn from the experience? That was your big takeaway, right?
I mean, in total, yeah. Like, I think that was the final, like, nail in the coffin that told me that just, like, why are you trying so hard? Why are you trying so hard to, like, make this go perfectly?
Yeah.
Like, you agreed to this, and what comes with going on a trip like this comes with solving the problems when you're alone that nobody else can really help you with.
Yeah, man.
And who knows? I mean, I like to think that probably me, even when I did the trip 5 years ago, if something like that had happened, I probably would have stewed and ruminated in anger for at least a couple minutes, if not hours, depending on the severity of what else is going wrong in my life at that point.
Yeah, when you called me, I was happy for you when I got off the phone because I could tell that you probably got flustered a little bit, but like for the most part, like you were in good spirits when you called me, and it had just happened the day before. So like you could have still been like, oh fuck, like what if this thing blows off again? But like instead, you were like very just content with the situation.
I saw him put that thing on, bro. That thing was not coming off. That shit was factory certified. But yeah, that's what I tried to tune into, was by the end of it realizing that like this last 2 weeks is just a metaphor for the rest of my life, which is that like it's way easier to point out the issues and the problems, but then you're looking past so many blessings that are right there in front of you, that like I said, even stuff that had to do with on the trip, like, yeah, they might have been problems, but they also, like, they're problems that never would have been afforded to me if I wasn't able to have this opportunity to go on this trip. Like I said, I mean, I met so many other cool people. There were so many other cool things. Like, I could easily, and to me, like, that's a good story, even though it was something bad that happened to me.
Yeah.
But I could easily just focus on those moments along the whole way that weren't so good, that weren't so fun, that were exhausting, that like took the life out of me. But then I'd be looking past so many other like cool things and lessons that were taught to me, that you don't get one without the other.
Yeah.
It's like you don't become a strong person unless you go through like tough things.
Yeah. It's important to face adversity. You need that in your life. It molds you, it changes you. You can't keep doing something and failing against it, and because you're doing it the same way. You got to change, you know. Like, that situation for you could have just been like you erupting and being mad and pissed off, and like when you get mad, man, you get mad. Like, that could have been a scene. But I'm happy that you like kept it calm and just chill, and like you were present in the moment of like, there's nothing I can do right now until somebody else fixes this for me. Like, this is just the way it is. I have no fucking roof on this trailer right now.
Yeah. That's just the proof right there of the power of letting go. And like I said, it could have gone very differently in terms of, I could have pulled up to that thing and somebody could have told me to fuck off.
Yeah.
And then I really would have been like, no, okay, now I really got to solve this on my own. And like I said, I mean, I think that measuring how grateful you can be in moments like that is a great way to counteract it.
Yeah.
And one of the clips that I saw while, I think it was when the first couple days when I was traveling up there, was how you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. It uses the same part of the brain. So if you're genuinely being grateful, you can't get anxious.
Yeah.
Or at least you have an ability to like meter that and figure that out, where that energy is going. And that is just, it's like in some moments it was very hard, and in others it was very easy. That like when you get to that point, just be grateful.
Yeah.
Be grateful. And this is what I wanted to talk about today, was gratitude. And it's funny that you asked it eventually, which is like, I try to take it as to the most littlest, smallest aspect as I can.
Yeah. That's like, whenever I get into those states, like especially lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been like really focusing, especially with like the new stuff that I'm doing. Like, whenever I like start to get anxious or like nervous, I try and get into a state like that feeling of like joy and gratitude, because it's so like it's like a profound feeling when you're there. Like, it's hard to just, like, once you get into it, it's hard to be out of it, you know what I mean? Like, you just start looking at the good things, and I think of her all the time. Just like, I'll think of the dog farting and how funny it is, wherever she is. She's still out here? Oh, she's right here.
I was gonna say she's snuck out.
I think about the dog, man, and then it'll like make me laugh a little bit, and then from laughing, it's hard to not smile, and then I just look at the sun and I'm like, it's a good day. You know what I mean? Like, it's important to be in like that grateful state and just be happy for everything. I have thank you tattooed on my hand for a reason, you know?
Yeah, and to like, it's truly, I find it to be like a muscle that like the more that you do that, and like you almost treat it like a challenge or a game, which is that like as soon as something doesn't go your way, immediately tune into that feeling.
I have one of those thoughts, and I think of her, and then I say like a couple affirmations like immediately and I'll do like a box breath if I have to, and like immediately I'm just so much less tense than I was. Like that 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold again. That's so like, because you're just so still. And then you can get into any feeling, and that's important, is being able to know like how to switch feelings. Like, as you learn that, it makes it so much easier to just be grateful all the time. Because if you start thinking about something negative, just think about something positive instead. I know it sounds easy.
Yeah, no, we say that, and we don't mean it that it's as simple as like.
But
something...
like with training, it's so easy after a while. Like now, it's easy. I think when I first started, it was really hard, and like it takes a lot of breath work. Like it used to take like a 3-minute round. Now it takes like a 30-second round. You know what I mean? But that's training and doing it every day and showing up.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I love about this thing now.
Yeah.
Is that I can literally look at when I meditate. I can literally just see my heart rate go down.
Yeah, the stress monitor is dope.
And then you can literally, like I said, it's a serious thing, but like I said, you can treat it like a game.
Yeah.
Which is that
Whoop sponsor us.
Get us the deal, please. We're whooping right now for you.
Yeah, that'd be fire.
Yeah, I got the whooping cough.
Remember since 2020, June.
Yeah.
Has your data registered yet?
Yeah, I'm still in the like calibration phase of it, but
we don't have to talk about it for that long.
No, but I'm past like the first 4 days. Okay. So now like the colors come up and I can see.
You're gonna get your recoveries and shit now.
Yeah, I've been pretty good about sleep, and if there's anything that I like about it, it's that like, and maybe it's because I did it virtually the whole trip, which is going to bed fairly early, and we were up at 6:30, 7 o'clock at least every day. But like I'm getting great sleep.
It's a lot easier to be grateful when you get good sleep.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to do a lot of things.
I think part of it is just getting more in line with that circadian rhythm for sure. That like I'm going to bed closer to when the sun goes down, which then like virtually like the opposite of what I was doing before that, which is waking up at 11, noon, 1 o'clock when the sun's been up for hours.
Yeah.
Versus now, like I'm waking up, like I'm like I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, damn, the sun's not out yet.
Yeah, I know, right, dude? I've been good about waking up at 6:30 with moving right now and the new job. Yeah. Like commuting has been kind of a bitch. Like on Saturday, I woke up at 5:45 to take the 8 o'clock train to be in Soho at 10:30, 10:15. I think I got there, and then work, and then have to travel back. That's been a bitch. But
how are you finding maintaining your routine and like maintaining that mindfulness and gratefulness while going through a change like this? Like you've had a fair amount of time to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you were still working here and there, but it's probably been much easier for you during that time to keep that routine and keep good habits because there was nothing working against that. So how have you found over the last couple of weeks with not only your routine changing, but now you know that you're going to be working late nights, that you don't really have a choice in that now? How are you, and how are you planning on dealing with that lifestyle change and adjusting your routine that keeps you sane?
So for the most part, I've tweaked it a little bit, but I also like to change the first couple things I do in the morning every couple months. Just not that I don't do them, but so I normally read a chapter from the 7 spiritual laws, and then I would meditate. I'd do the daily calm, and then I would write in my journal and listen to the Daily J, and then I would read another chapter out of the autobiography of the yogi, or whatever book at the time. Okay. Now I'm doing all of the reading as soon as I wake up, and then I'll do my meditation, and then I journal and listen to Jay at the same time I was doing before. But for some reason for me, because I always want to read at least 10 pages, so sometimes I catch myself and I'm trying to hurry the process up and just read these 10 pages faster. Now that I'm reading them and I know when I'm done reading, I don't have to read anymore either book, and I can just meditate and then go for my walk, and it's very calm. I found that's helped. But I've just been waking up a little bit earlier if I have to on the days I travel. I won't break that what I've been doing. I'm, no matter what I'm doing, working what time or what time I get home, when I wake up, that's going to be the first thing I do because it's so important for me. I'm in a better mood throughout the day when I wake up and do those things. Yeah. And it's kind of you get in that mind state I missed something, fuck, my day's going to be, because then you think your day is going to be off because you didn't do one of the things you normally do. Yeah. And I've been trying to avoid that as for like the traveling and starting a new job and like knowing I'm gonna have to work late, even though that's not like exactly what I want to be doing, I'm not worried about it. I've been trying to be grateful that like I got a new opportunity. It's where I've always wanted to be. Like I always talked about living in the city, and I always wanted to work down there, and it's probably 10 years later than I wanted to do it, but I'm doing it now, and it's probably better that I'm doing it this version of me as an adult and not like the kid that I was, and like that I would just go party every single day and stuff. Like now I'm gonna go down there and like I know it's work. Like I was very specific with them when I told them like I'm here to just work. Like I don't want to be.
I won't be hanging out at the bar.
Yeah, like I don't want to be the guy.
At 11.
I don't want to be the guy doing like the fucking orders and everything. Like I'm just here to bartend, and I want to help you guys open this place, and I want it to go really well. And I really like everybody I work with so far, which makes that a lot easier. And like I'm learning for the first time in a while behind the bar, you know, like the guy that's the bar manager there, Orel, is like very, very like nerdy about cocktails, like when he explains them and stuff, and like he knows that I know what I'm doing, but he's just like, I'm not trying to teach you how to bartend, I'm trying to just like show you how I do it, and like I get that now. Yeah. I wouldn't have understood that when I was 21. Bartending, I would have been like, no, this is the fucking way I do it because I know I'm good at this. Now I'm just like, I've trained people for long enough that I can be like, let me like actually take in this training. Yeah. And like just being grateful to learn something, you know? Like he does things differently than I do them, and it's not bad, it's not better or worse, but like that's the method that they want to use, and like fuck it, why am I gonna fight against this and try and control it when I could just do it the way they want it done, you know?
Yeah, but that can also be helpful in, there's probably, you know, there's a certain part of your body that associates bartending with doing other things that probably aren't as negative for you. But if you're thinking about the base way of doing your job, which you probably haven't thought about in a while.
For years.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're thinking about that, that encourages brand new thinking in all sorts of ways in other areas. That like, if you're making the drinks differently, you won't be so quick to, you know, get upset by a customer. Yeah. Or, you know, like I said, you know, anything that...
My mindset is just a lot more positive. I like... Sometimes on the train I get a little bit anxious because it's new and I'm like nervous. Yeah. But like I know it's nerves, and like I said, doing the breath work is big, especially on the train. Like I barely been listening to music. If I do, like it's very low, and I just try and like stay in my breath. I do a lot of affirmations on the train. So like a good time to do it. You're just sitting there.
That's what I feel like I would like about it.
That's my biggest thing that I've noticed now is like taking the time. I've found a point where I can just like, no matter what's going on, like you could be talking. I'll probably do it at some point while you're talking. It's just like, instead of just doing the breath work now I'm like always in my affirmations. I'm like very, very carving my subconscious, like all the time. And like, I learned about that when I first started all of this. Like it's about to be a year since I started meditating. Like we're in October. And I've read Think and Grow Rich, like the third book I read. I didn't understand it until like a week and a half ago. Like it really sunk in like a week and a half ago. And it's like, because I watched The Secret, and like from that, just like changing the way, like really, I could talk about changing the way I think, or I could just think about changing the way I think. And you know what I mean, like by that, like just always having those thoughts. Like I'm very tuned into what's going on inside my own head right now.
Yeah, finding that inner monologue and realizing like there's a cracking into those parts of yourself that you've already, like, you don't even notice that they're there. Like, you just, like, kind of take that as, this is the way I am, or this is the way I see the world, to the point that it's so subconscious that you don't even notice it. The more that you can crack into those, the more you start to, like, realize that, like, no, like, because, like, for the longest time now, and I still struggle with it, I'm not gonna act, but, like, I always struggled with, you snap in anger. Yeah. And for a long time, I didn't actually like be realistic about it. I just said to myself that like, this is who you are. Like, and the people who love you will understand that. Yeah. And the people who don't, whatever, fuck them. But the more and more that I crack into those, the more I just realize that like, nothing is shaped in that way. No, you know what I mean? Nothing good comes from looking at yourself and saying, I can't change that. Yeah. we all live in a world where we just, what shapes us, but we're already shaped into who we are before we even know it. And then there's that period of time where, because I actually think that like there's always a point where you can change, but I think that the further you grow away from that, the harder it gets to notice those kinds of things. But then just realizing and being like, I don't have to. The only thing that I have control over is how I react to this. Someone can get in my face. Someone can get mad at me. Like, someone can be upset over something that has nothing to do with me. The only thing that I have control over is how I respond to that.
When I got out of Grand Central on Saturday and I was starting to walk down Broadway to work, some dude got out of a taxi and he smacked his umbrella against the taxi door and started like yelling at the guy. And I'm walking toward this and I'm like, oh fuck. And then he looked at me and said something to me, and old me would have been like, yo, if this dude comes up to me, I'm fighting him and it's gonna be bad. And new me was just like, just don't want to start my day by getting punched in the face. Like, I just want to keep walking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to enjoy my morning. And, like, I walked past him, he just kept chirping, and I just had kept going, stone face. I don't care. Like, this is not going to be the way I start my day.
Yeah.
Old me would have been like, yo, if he says one more thing, like, it's on. And it's so nice to not be that person anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Getting out of that anger space and just being in, like, a joyous space is so much nicer. And, you bring that energy to everything then. And then other people sense it. And I feel like, I honestly, in my mind, this job is going to be perfect for me. You know why? Because I've just been thinking it's going to be perfect for me, and I'm telling myself it is. And, I'm radiating that energy when I walk in there, none of those other... I don't know these people.
Yeah.
And, it's not like I'm going to get to know them, personally, deeply,
you never know.
I just have to work with them,
Yeah,
I know, but, at the same
yeah.
time, not having that attachment to, oh, this person's going to feel this way about this, and, just letting go, just, this is my day, and I'm going to be in a good mood, regardless of what happens, is, so nice.
Yeah. More importantly, I feel like there's so much... Like I said, even if it didn't go perfectly and you didn't like it, you're also comfortable with the fact of I'll figure out what the next step is then.
Yeah.
I'll take that on when it comes. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
And get trapped into, like I said, and the brain loves negative thinking.
I know.
The brain loves it. And I was just journaling about it this morning. Your brain is built that if what you fear the most is people judging you.
It's the law of attraction.
It's the same... No, I just mean it's the same fear in your brain as if, a lion was chasing you when you were fighting for your life.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Scientifically. Scientifically, it's the same thing. And I'm not, we all have different fears that cut us to our core that we're trying to work through. But part of it is realizing that what you're actually afraid of is not dangerous. It's actually what empowers you.
Yeah.
And when you're afraid of something, your brain is trying to tell you something. That you need to... You good?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I'm having a lot of problems with this arm. It just cracked and I hurt it and I'm not moving.
Yeah, you didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there.
I need to go to the doctor. Getting old sucks.
But that's part of it too, which is in some way is taking it out of your, even it's your shoulder. Now the only thing that's in your control right now is to take care of that thing, go easy on it, and then ask somebody else for help.
Yeah.
The old you may have been I'm going to solve this myself. You know what I mean? I'm going to figure this out. That's the
or
only,
I'm not going to do anything.
Or I'm not going to do
that
anything.
would have been.
But that's one way of solving itself.
I guess.
Right?
I mean, it's not solving, but I understand what you're saying. That was my solution.
That's your response.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your response to it. And like I said, letting go of that. Letting go of that thing that's just okay, I don't have control over every single thing that happens to me. In fact, most of the things that are going to happen to me, I have zero. The only thing that I have control over is how I treat people
and how you feel about it,
how you respond back to it, whether it's positive or negative. And I have a thing on my vision board that's like, I think it's the Dalai Lama, and it says like, it's like, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible.
Yeah.
Even in the most horrible, worst, you know, everybody is always kind of like, oh, I'm nice until somebody,
Yeah.
you know, and that's I get that. We're all built to, like, you know, when somebody comes at us threatening us, to respond, and like sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we see as threats aren't actual threats. You know, what you're mostly afraid of is not like the, you know, I mean, I'm just guessing at this point, but I don't think what most people are afraid of is that they're going to get into a car accident at work, or that, you know, they're going to get hit while they're walking, or but their biggest fears lie in being judged, in, you know, doing things in front of people, or what, you know, what will this person think, or how will I be perceived, or what does this say about me if I do this.
Well, that's something about the law of attraction that I like, is one of the things that I try and focus on is, like, if you think good things and, like, you're only thinking good things, you're going to attract those things. If you're thinking about fear constantly all the time and what you're afraid of, you're only going to attract that. You know what I mean? So it's, like, important to just, like, focus on that, too. Like, when you're I don't know.
No, I mean, no, but I mean, I mean, it works in all sorts of ways. Like, if you're, like I said, it comes down to, like, you know, who you spend your time with. You know, what do you look forward to? Do you look forward to, you know, sitting down and meditating and learning about yourself? And that can be in all sorts of ways. Or do you look forward to Friday night when you can go out and get fucked up and forget your problems?
Yeah.
What do you look forward to? Like, don't get me wrong. I've had many a times fucked up, and many a times have been fun. But at the same time, if that's what your idea of fun is, you're always going to attract that, and that comes with a certain amount of other problems. You know, I can't tell you how good it feels, like, when you're taking good care of yourself, when you make decisions that aren't based on, like, yesterday I was supposed to go out. I was going to go watch football. I was going to go see Jake at Taco. But I was just like, I kind of want to just stay here, do this. And then I didn't even end up watching football. But, like, if I was with other people, we'd almost certainly be watching that.
Yeah.
And, like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it, but it's just not what I wanted to. It's just not what I wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I would have had plenty of fun, gone out, watched some football, had a good time. I'm sure it would have been great. But at the same time, like, there's power in being like, no, everybody else thinks this is fun, but I'm gonna do my own version of that.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, one of the things that, I don't know why, but it was really pulling me to talk about this morning is the time where you get up right in the morning and you go right to your phone.
Yeah.
Something was just telling me to talk about this. And, like, one of the habits that was able to kind of cultivate on this trip was really not being on my phone in the morning. Because, like I said, I'm staying with people. I don't need to be up. Like, they're going to come knock on my door when we're going, and then it's whatever. And if I was on my phone, it was more for, you know, useful reasons versus, like, aimless scrolling.
Yeah, man.
But and then when I got back, I said, well, now it's going to be a lot easier. I don't have to necessarily be anywhere or wake up and go anywhere. Like, it's going to be a lot easier for me to go to my phone as soon as I wake up and start aimlessly scrolling and start my day like I always have for the last 10 years or whatever it was. But I kind of made the connection of being like, okay, well, what do I want in the morning that my phone gives me that I can get from elsewhere? Like, and realistically,
distraction.
It's a distraction, but realistically, it's entertainment.
Yeah, read a book.
Well, that's what I started doing.
Yeah, man.
I figured, I was like, so that's the best thing that I can, now I've set myself up for, that's the best thing that I can do when I wake up in the morning. I know that that's the first step.
Is that feeling better for you? Because that's big for me. I read that resonates with me, because I know I used to start my days scrolling on my phone, nothing gets accomplished because you're too like you're
Well, you're
you get
setting the
locked in,
tone.
and then you're just like, let me sit here longer, and you watch TV, and then you go back to your phone because the TV's not entertaining you. That's why my phone is locked now from 5:30 because I wake up at 6:30 until 8:30. None of my apps open. I unlock Instagram and I unlock Whoop and I unlock Calm. I only use Instagram to post the 2 quotes from Calm so people see them because it's important that people change. And then I post something that sits with me from the 7 spiritual laws. And then my phone is locked. I don't use it when I walk the dog anymore. Like I don't listen to music. It's me and the dog, and I listen to the environment. And then I start activity on Whoop when I run, and then I don't use my phone until I get done walking or running. So normally 9:30. And I wake up at 6:30.
Yeah.
But to have those 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours where I'm not on my phone to start the day, when I get on my phone, you know how easy it is to scroll and just put it back down? Because you're already not used to using it. So I'm sure for you, when you were not using it all the time, like, then when you pick it up, it's like, what am I doing on my phone? It's being mindful with it in your hand. It's so important, especially with those things.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't want to wake up in the morning and immediately like journal, because I'm gonna feel like my thoughts are kind of cloudy, and that like I'm gonna try to make the sentences come together well, and like I said, I'm just getting woken up in the morning. I was like, the easiest thing I can do is read something inspiring in the morning, when like that's a whole selection of books that I have ready at my disposal, just to get to that point of this is the direction we're going in. And sometimes it points you in a place where, okay, I knew that this is what I had to do in the back of my mind, like, and this confirmed that.
Yeah.
But then other times it points you in a direction of, I know I really haven't thought about that in a while, or I haven't spent time doing this in a while. Maybe today I'll carve out some more time to do that instead of getting caught up in, like, what's the next thing to do? Because now what I struggle with is my morning routine is great, but at the moment I'm not working or doing anything like that. I'm like, the middle of the day is like, now what do I do?
I know.
Now what do I do? And I've been trying to do it for like learning, like watching courses, or even if it's just like watching stuff on YouTube that is like mindful, or even like a documentary that I feel like is, and I've really made the commitment to barely, if smoking at all, like throughout the day, and also not doing anything during the day, or at least, the day-ish, that isn't like productive or purposeful. And that can be so many different avenues when you carve that out.
It's very important to realize that like there's different versions of productive too, because for me, I felt like when I had that problem when I first left work too, like I would get to 9:45 and I'm done. I like had such a productive morning and I'm rolling, and it's like, now what?
Yeah.
And it's like, I would do like stuff around the house, like mow the lawn, like do dishes, like clean the kitchen, shit like that.
Yeah, of course.
But like that only takes so long. And it's just like, well, now what do I do? But for me, it was being like, all right, I've done everything. Let's just go lay outside I'll give myself an hour to lay down. I can read if I want, and I can just chill with the dog. And then to realize that that's not a waste of time, because I'm being mindful about it. I'm present in the moment. I'm chilling out. I'm letting my body relax. Like, God knows I just put a bunch of strain on it to start the day, and I'm spending time with the dog, which makes me happy. So for me, it was I feel like it's something you might run into is that like you'll be doing things and then you'll be like, is this productive or not? And it's like, don't try and label it as, am I doing everything productive? Just be like, go about your day, and then when you look back at it at the end of the day, you'll know like, well, this was meaningful to me. It's like in the Whoop, did you see in the journal, it said, it's like one of the questions it can ask you in the morning is, did you achieve a goal today, or like move toward a goal? And
I have all those turned on. It's like, one of them is like, did you feel motivated? Did you feel control of your life? And then I have the other ones that are like depression and stuff like that turned on.
I like using that because like even it has the little range meter thing on it, and it's like
somewhat
small, but like even saying like, Because if I did like 10 things around the house today, like, you know what, that was productive. It helped my mom out. Like, she's going to be in a better mood when she comes home. So,
Absolutely.
you know what, like, that is something positive for me to look at. Like,
Yeah.
don't think I wasted time because I cleaned the house for 4 hours when I could have been doing something that, like, you can't make money all the time. Like, I mean,
you can't make money all the time, but you also can't. I mean, you can always be working on yourself, but you can't always 24/7 be consciously working on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be impacted by the outside world and have some stuff out of your control come
Yeah.
in order to, like...
That's very big. I don't want people that are watching or listening to be like, these guys are fucking crazy. What are they doing? Sitting at home in a room all day? Like, I have a fucking life. Like, I do stuff. I just, like, am very present when I'm doing it.
Well, I mean, also, but I think that has changed, too, which is, like, the definition of having a life and, like, what is social. Because now, like... Even with, you know, I'm smoking much less than I was, you know, a month ago. That is a core part of a lot of my friendships.
Yeah. So
To a certain extent, like it's to be said that like most of my friends engage in that activity, and I consider it to be like a social thing. But what happens when, you know, I can't be doing that, you know, 6, 7, 8 times a day. Like, I gotta chill out. But it really offers a great opportunity to, like, see, like I say, if all we were doing was drinking and smoking and doing whatever.
For me when I quit drinking,
we never would have even had the time to think about doing something like this, let alone wake up early and actually do it week after week.
Yeah.
Like, other things come from, like, that time and that effort and that energy has to be put elsewhere. So, like I said, if all the energy is being put into, you know, the facade that you put up while you're bartending, so that, like, you're having a good time, that gets sucked out of other areas. But once that's not taking up a portion of your life, that allows for, like, oh, okay, I really like I know that if I want to do something like this, that this friend likes to do that, and it doesn't have anything to do with going out and sitting at a bar. Or you know what I mean?
It was big for me when I stopped drinking to figure out, like, how to move about that, like, how to navigate, like, because for me, like, that was such a big part of my life that
and you rely upon it to be yourself too.
Yeah, a lot of the relationships I had, like, were through drinking. Like, hey, I wasn't gonna text somebody and be like, you want to go play tennis? Like, I'd be like, you want to go get a drink? Like, now I'm just like, I've narrowed it down to a very certain people, like, that I hang out with and expend my energy toward. Like,
we should play tennis today.
Well, yeah, we could do that.
We should do that.
That is a nice idea.
That sounds
we
nice.
We should hit up Justin. Justin's been fiending to play tennis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's finding those... it's a nice avenue, you know what? Like, honestly, like, if you stop drinking and, like, you want to find out who your real friends are, like, if it's a relationship worth keeping, like, text somebody and be like, and say that. Like, do you want to go play tennis? Because if they respond and they're like, are you fucking crazy? Like, do you really want to hang out with that person? Because they don't want to do anything besides drink with you, you know? Like, that was, for me, like, a big thing. Like,
well, I'm sure you've also run into the person who only talks about, like, how much fun you were when you were not making good decisions for yourself and when you weren't taking great care of yourself, and always talks about, like, oh, bro, that's crazy that you wouldn't, you know, that you wouldn't take a shot with us, or that, like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't you, like, you know what I mean? But that person doesn't want to look at themselves. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with, like I said, I still drink. I still have a drink casually here and there. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But a crutch is a crutch.
Yeah.
Whether it's your friends or your lifestyle or your job or whatever it is.
Are you really happy? Like, at the end of the day, that's the big thing. Like, that's what we like talking about. Well, we hope that it helps you people talk about it. Just like, are you happy? Talk about that with your friends.
Yeah, think about, like, what brings you joy. Like, one of the things that I really like to tune into is, like, what does it feel like after you're done, you know, like...
With an experience?
With an experience, but I actually was referring more to, like, what's it feel like when you finish hanging out with this person versus, you know, when you feel drained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, tune into those experiences, not only, like, who you're hanging out with, but what you're doing, too, where you leave that experience and you're happy that it happened, and you're saying to yourself, wow, that really brought me energy, that really gave me X, Y, or Z, like, to help me be better. And then also pay attention to those moments where being like, you know what, this really drained me.
Why did it drain you?
Yeah.
Who was around? What was the
situation? It's not always a person. Sometimes it's
just an environment.
Sometimes it's an environment.
I don't like loud, crowded places. Like we walked through Spirit of Beacon Day yesterday, and immediately 10 minutes in, I was like, too many fucking people. Everything is like, I don't want to be around all this. Like it's mad loud. Like there was crackheads all through Beacon. I've never seen it like that yesterday. I heard some guy say he would stab a dog. Yeah, like.
Was Lola with you?
No, but I would have knocked him the fuck out if she was. Yeah. What a girl. What are you doing?
But
sleeping, Dad. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, right. Let me do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
But it's very important to tune into those things, and like, yeah, like, I mean, for a lot of people, like myself included, for a long time, was just like, it's just natural for you to feel drained. And like you get used to that. You think that
that's normal.
Well, I mean, like I said, it can be a place that you go to or a thing that you have to do. Like it can be your family, you know, like. But also, I think fair enough to think about too is that, like, think about what you're giving to.
Yeah.
Think about, you know, like, you may be upset with the way that your family treats you or the way that your job treats you or whatever it might be.
But what energy are you bringing to that?
Yes, exactly. Fair enough. Like, are you, you know, like, and it's not to say, like, trust me, like, it's hard those days, like, you know, when you know you're in for a long day, or when before you even get started, somebody gives you a hard time. We're just saying, be aware.
Yeah.
I think, like, be mindful of what makes you go out there and want to help people more, what makes you want to be a better person. You know, what company do you leave and you say, like, I want to do more of that when I'm not around them.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to and like you said, I mean, pay attention to the people who can't, who like continue to just talk about, like, what your past was like. Make your way back to, like, that's the biggest lie that I feel like anybody has ever told, is that, like, you can't change, no matter how deeply rooted. And change means different things. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the exact opposite. But can you notice the improvement in yourself from yesterday into today, and then say, what can I do better tomorrow? Like, I'm not, like, part of the reason we're here is that, like, we're not in competition. This like, I feel like something like this could have been, I think we could have done it, but I think something like this would have been much harder 5 years ago, because we just would have been talking over each other and trying to have the person, the person with the coolest story, or the person with the, you know, with the best point or the best clippable thing. Yeah. Like, we probably wouldn't have even been aware of it.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be talking about this shit.
No.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about something stupid. We'd be talking about something meaningless.
Yeah.
Or not, you know what I mean? Like, something that, like, we weren't passionate about.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that we've been able to...
I'm very passionate about changing and growing. And, like, growing about myself.
That's why, like, have we ever recorded one of these, and afterwards, like, I mean, like, besides the initial episodes where, like, it was really hard to just, like,
honestly, the first episode we did in the yard, and the one that we did by the pool, I thought were fine. The only one time I had a really tough time was the one we did at your house, and it was like, it was kind of like that. It was just like, what can we say? It wasn't competition with you, but I was competing with, I gotta be better than that last episode. Yeah. And it's just like, what the fuck is the point of that, man? We're just having a conversation. How do you know if one conversation's better than the other one?
Well, yeah, and exactly, like, how many times have we looked back at this, and, you know, we all have in our mind at the end of it, like, oh, like, looking back, that might have been a good moment, or that. And then you look back, and what you thought was great maybe wasn't as great. But something came from when you weren't even paying attention and trying to be, you know, go viral, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't think there's any possible way that we would have been able to, like, sit here and bounce ideas off each other and ask each other questions without trying to, like, talk over each other.
Yeah.
And then now to like, also, I do want to recognize this episode 7 is a very important episode for us.
Yeah, most podcasts, only the average podcast stops at episode 7. It's like 60% don't make it past episode 1, and then the percentage that do, like, everybody stops at episode 7.
Yeah.
It's like 60% of podcasts on Apple Podcasts don't have more than 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sent you that clip yesterday.
Yeah, that's why I know it.
Didn't I?
Yeah.
And it was like, I like my chances.
Yeah.
I like my... all I have to do is do it.
I don't give a fuck if you guys want to see this or not. It's coming.
Yeah, but also recognizing that...
There are going to be people that want to see it.
That what we think is meaningless and has absolutely, like, no bearing, we just say it willy-nilly, could have an impact on somebody and change the way they think.
Yeah.
Or could be striking a chord with somebody who I never thought about it in that way. And meanwhile, we're not trying to do it any different than just be authentic. That's, to me, is the highest vibration that we can get to. And, like, we've all done for so many years thinking that this is your authentic self. And then once you start fighting back against that and
It's your
realize...
ego. It's the mask.
But that's the... You talk about, people that you interact with who you say, like, that person is themselves. That doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It takes work to dig deep in yourself and be authentic. So like I said, to not be saying or doing anything based on what other people might judge you about.
Yeah.
That, and I'm still working on that. I think we all are still working on that. It's not an easy it's always going to be a fight that you're having. It's never going to be like, oh, okay, I finally conquered what it means to be more authentic. You're always, till the day you die, you're reaching for that higher self, that authentic self. The search for that never ends.
Yeah.
It gets easier, and it might get easier and easier to find that.
To get to that
to figure it
space.
out, and the more work you put into, self-exploration.
Yeah.
But even when you get to that highest point where you feel like you can't go further,
You can always
2
grow.
days later, there's something else that you still need to learn. That the most dangerous people in the world are the people who think they have it all figured out.
Yeah.
The wisest people are the people who think that.
Just let it happen.
Well, not even just let it happen, but I'm always learning.
Yeah.
Even if I think I know everything there is to know about meditation, there's something that I don't know, or about podcasting, or about anything. Like anything can be helpful, and and then the right message will be laid upon you.
Yeah. So, how long do you think we've been going for? Do you know?
I have no clue.
I'm pretty good here. Do you want to just we got an episode with Will Buck that's gonna get recorded this week and will be coming out shortly. So we just want to plug that real quick.
Yeah.
Our first guest is coming up.
Yeah, we have a few people in mind, but feel free to reach out to us if you feel like you know somebody who you feel like should be on. You guys know what we talk about. We're always open to connecting with new people who might get us to have a new perspective on something. We haven't really figured out how we're going to record 3 people, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
3 or maybe more. We can have
happen.
Yeah.
Just tune in and it'll be here.
Yeah, we're and as always, we're very thankful if you listened to 10 minutes of this, let alone made it to this point of listening all the way this far. And if there's stuff that you want us to talk about, if you feel like there's stuff that we could do better or worse, or
comments, reviews,
leave us 5 stars.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple.
Obviously, why would it be? Or leave us 3 if you feel like that's all we brought to the table. But that's
I bring 5 stars. I'm a 5-star man.
Yeah, definitely leave us 5 stars or Steve will freak out.
Yeah. I'm still letting go of that.
If there's stuff that you want us to talk about, or if there's something you liked about this episode or any other ones that you feel like we should bring back up or whatever, we're here for you guys. We get a lot out of this. We really do enjoy it. And I think the conversations that come up outside of this because we're doing this are even better.
Yeah.
But you guys will never see that.
Maybe you will, but with a subscription fee.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe that's on the horizon. But But yeah, we're doing this so that people feel less alone, and we want to help. So if there's any way that we can help in that, please let us know. Send us a DM, reach out, comment.
Yeah. Who thought we'd
and
be
if
here?
anything, it'll feed the algorithm.
Yeah. That's episode 7 of Who Thought We'd Be Here.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We appreciate you listening.